I hate to break it to you, but those assets you're frantically guarding, they aren't wealth. They're essentially just pending liabilities.
Wait, hold on. Are you insane? We're scraping by just to save every penny for the future. How can any savings be a liability?
Because that very instinct, that fear you're feeling, is what the source material we're discussing today identifies as the bug. The core thesis is that our entire concept of financial security has become pathologically detached from biological reality. This fear of a capital war is a symptom.
I'm sorry, a bug? I'm here to defend what I'd call the asset defense instinct. It's not a bug, it's survival. And this idea dangerously underestimates the need for capital as a shield against a genuinely chaotic world.
Let's unpack that. The material defines this hoarding of capital not as success, but as economic constipation. You're not building a dam for security. You're blocking the very circulation the system needs to stay alive. The flow is what matters, not the pile.
See, constipation is a pejorative. I'd argue that dam creates potential energy. It creates security. You're just ignoring the sweat and tears equity here. Look, we can't trust governments. We can't always trust companies. So holding on to what you've earned isn't a pathology. It is the only rational shield against that chaos.
But what is that shield made of? This brings us to what the text calls the golden tranquilizer. You view these assets as a hedge, right? A real physical store of value.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the experts. Ray Dalio has advised holding gold for years. Why? Because in a true crisis, in a capital war, paper money burns. Physical assets are the only safety net when the system actually fails. That's just history.
The text refutes that. It calls gold a kind of physical amulet for the financially elderly. It proposes a very simple logic break. Let's call it soup versus gold. Imagine the true systemic collapse everyone is supposedly preparing for. You have a 1 kilo bar of gold. I have a cup of warm soup. In a moment of pure biological crisis, which one has actual value?
Well, in any functioning market, the gold buys the soup. That's the entire basis of...
But we're not in a functioning market. The premise of your capital war is that the system breaks, that gold has zero nutritional value. You can't eat it, you can't burn it for warmth. The point is that thermodynamic laws do not care about market sentiment. You're on a sinking ship trying to buy oxygen with shiny rocks.
Okay, I see the logic, but this shipwreck metaphor, I think it's being misapplied. The text has this concept, the shipwreck score attack. What exactly is that?
It compares the modern asset holder to a gamer on a sinking ship. The hull, the physical world, is taking on water, but the player is locked in his cabin, absolutely screaming that his high score is dropping. The critique is that we are all obsessing over the score, our net worth, while completely ignoring the structural integrity of the ship, which is, the biosphere, the social fabric.
But that's where it feels like an attack on competence, a sort of victim mentality in reverse. That score represents my ability to provide, my value. If I have the capital, I can protect my family. To just dismiss that as a game, it feels like you're trying to punish the winners.
The text diagnoses this as a core pathology. The fear isn't of poverty. The fear is of losing the score, because the player has mistaken the score for his identity. He believes if the number in the bank account goes to 0, he ceases to exist. He becomes what the text calls a white fraud, someone who extracts numerical value rather than creating biological value.
That is a brutal diagnosis. But, okay, if we accept that, if the score is an illusion, what's the alternative? You can't just tear down the entire economic incentive structure and expect things to work. What's the new currency?
Repair. The new currency isn't how much you hoarded, it's how much you can fix.
So utility replaces net worth?
Exactly. When your accumulated commands, your money, no longer work because people refuse to starve for paper, the only thing that matters is your direct utility. How much did you actually repair the broken world?
But that's terrifying. That means everything I've worked for, everything I've saved, my winning status, it all just becomes worthless?
Discussion over. Isolating the bug.